Here's something most people don't realize about aging. It doesn't start in your face, or your hair, or even your memory. It starts in your legs. Long before anyone notices a wrinkle, the muscles in your legs are already quietly losing strength, and by the time you notice it, when getting up from a chair feels a little harder or stairs feel steeper than they used to, it's already been happening for years. I want to say something clearly right at the top because it matters. This is not one of those, well, that's just aging, nothing you can do, videos. It is true that our bodies change as we get older. That part is real, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But how your legs respond to that change, that part is largely in your hands. Muscle is one of the most trainable, most responsive tissues in the entire human body at any age. 25 or 85, your legs are still listening to what you do, and, just as importantly, what you eat. And that's what today's video is really about, because most people think leg strength is only about exercise, squats, walking, maybe some resistance bands. And yes, movement matters enormously, but there's a piece of the puzzle that gets almost no attention, and it's food. What you put on your plate has a direct line to how your muscles rebuild themselves, how quickly they recover, and whether they're growing stronger or quietly shrinking week by week. So today, I'm going to walk you through 4 foods you can find in a regular grocery store. Nothing exotic, nothing expensive, that supports stronger, more resilient legs. We'll go through them one at a time, why each one matters for aging muscle specifically, and simple ways to start working them into your week. Now, here's the part I want you to stick around for, because I'm going to save it for later in the video. There's one food on this list that nutrition scientists have been paying a lot more attention to in recent years, specifically because of how it seems to support the speed at which older adults rebuild muscle after activity. Not just whether they build it, but how quickly. It's probably not the food you'd guess. We'll get to it. Before we dive in, I want to take a second and just talk to you directly. If you're watching this because you've noticed your legs feeling a little less steady than they used to, maybe getting out of the car takes a beat longer, maybe you've started holding the railing on stairs when you never used to, I want you to know that noticing is not a bad sign. Noticing is actually the first step toward doing something about it. A lot of people wait until something happens, an injury, a fall, before they start paying attention to leg strength. You're ahead of that. You're already paying attention, and that alone puts you in a really good position. I'd love to know a little more about who's watching this today. So down in the comments, just let me know. How old are you? And does this resonate with you at all? Have you noticed any changes in your legs over the last few years? Even small ones. I read these, and honestly, it helps me know what to cover next. It also helps other people scrolling through the comments realize they're not the only one thinking about this. Okay, let's get into it. 4 foods and why your legs specifically need them as the years go on. We're going to start with the one that's probably most familiar to you and build up from there, because the further we get into this list, the more specific and honestly, the more surprising the reasoning gets. Stick with me. All right, let's get into it. Food number 4 on our list, and remember, we're counting up, so this is important, just not the most important, is eggs. Now, I know eggs have had a complicated reputation over the years. Some decades they were the enemy, other decades they were a superfood. Let's set that noise aside and talk specifically about legs and aging muscle, because here the picture is actually pretty clear. Here's the mechanism. Muscle isn't a static thing sitting in your legs. It's constantly being broken down and rebuilt every single day, whether you're aware of it or not. Think of it like a construction site that never really closes. As we get older, that rebuilding process slows down, and it also becomes pickier. It needs the right building materials and the right form to keep up the pace. Eggs happen to contain what's often called a complete protein, meaning they carry the full set of building blocks your muscles need in one package. Plus, they come with vitamin D, which research suggests plays a supporting role in how muscle fibers function, especially in older adults who may already be running low on it. On the evidence side, nutrition scientists generally agree that as we get older, our bodies become less efficient at using protein for muscle repair, a phenomenon sometimes called anabolic resistance. Studies have found that older adults may need a slightly higher concentration of protein in a single sitting to trigger the same muscle building response that a younger body gets more easily. Eggs, because they're concentrated and easy to prepare, are a practical way to help close that gap. So, practically, what does that look like? It doesn't mean egg white omelets 3 times a day. It can be as simple as making eggs part of one meal, most days of the week. Many people in this situation find that just adding 2 eggs to breakfast instead of relying on cereal or toast alone is an easy shift that doesn't feel like a diet change at all. It just feels like breakfast. Now let's move to food number 3, leafy greens, things like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard. This one surprises people because when they think muscle, they think protein, not vegetables. But here's the mechanism worth understanding. Leafy greens are rich in nitrates and in compounds that support blood flow. And blood flow is everything when it comes to legs specifically, because your leg muscles are the largest muscle groups in your body, and they depend on efficient circulation to get oxygen and nutrients where they're needed, especially during activity like walking or climbing stairs. Picture it like a delivery system. The healthier that system runs, the more efficiently your muscles get what they need to perform and to recover afterward. Research suggests that nitrates found in leafy greens may help support healthy vessel function, which in turn may make physical activity feel a little less taxing. Some studies have even looked at this in the context of walking endurance in older adults specifically. This isn't about turning you into an athlete overnight. It's about giving your legs an easier time doing the everyday things that keep you independent. Walking to the mailbox, getting through a grocery store, standing at the sink doing dishes without your legs screaming at you by the end of it. Practically, this one is refreshingly simple. A serving of leafy greens most days tossed into a soup, wilted alongside eggs at breakfast, or just as a side salad with dinner is enough to start. You don't need to eat kale by the bowlful. Consistency matters far more than quantity here. 2 down, 2 to go. And I promise you, the next 2 are where this really gets interesting, because we start moving from generally good for you into foods that seem to specifically target how fast aging muscle repairs itself. If this is helpful so far, hitting like genuinely helps this reach more people who are dealing with exactly this, the folks who are noticing their legs changing and want to do something about it before it becomes a bigger problem. It really does make a difference for the channel, and more importantly, it puts this information in front of someone who might need it today. Let's keep moving. Food number 2, and this is where I promised things will get more specific, is fatty fish. Things like salmon, sardines, and mackerel. Here's why this one matters so much for legs as we age. We talked earlier about inflammation and recovery, but there's another piece of the puzzle. Chronic, low-grade inflammation tends to increase somewhat as we get older, and that inflammation can actually interfere with how efficiently muscle repairs itself. Think of it like trying to renovate a house while there's still smoke in the air. The work can happen, but it's slower, messier, less effective than it should be. Fatty fish contain omega-3 fatty acids, which research suggests may help calm that background inflammation, clearing the air, so to speak, so the muscle-building process happening in your legs can proceed more smoothly. There's also a second angle here that nutrition scientists have been increasingly interested in. Some studies have found that omega-3s may play a role in how sensitive muscle tissue is to protein, essentially helping your body respond better to the protein you're already eating, almost like a key that helps the lock turn more easily. So it's not just what fatty fish gives you directly, it's how it may help everything else on this list work a little better too. Practically, this doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. A serving of fatty fish 2 or 3 times a week is a reasonable, realistic target for most people. Canned sardines or salmon count, and honestly, for a lot of people, that's the easiest entry point. No cooking a fillet, just opening a tin and adding it to a salad or some crackers. Now, before we get to the food I've been teasing since the beginning of this video, I want to pause for just a second. If this has been useful so far, This is a good moment to hit like. It really does help this reach other people who are quietly dealing with the exact same thing. Legs that don't feel like they used to, and a desire to actually do something about it instead of just accepting it. Okay, let's keep going. Food number 1. This is the one I mentioned at the very start. The one nutrition scientists have been paying closer attention to recently, specifically because of how it seems to relate to the speed of muscle rebuilding in older adults, not just whether rebuilding happens at all. And it's Greek yogurt. Here's the mechanism, and it's genuinely interesting. Greek yogurt is unusually rich in a type of protein that digests more slowly than most other protein sources. Picture the difference between a fast one-time delivery truck and a slow, steady drip feed. With faster digesting proteins, your body gets a burst of building material all at once, but a lot of it can go unused if it arrives faster than your muscles can absorb it. Slower digesting protein, on the other hand, releases those building blocks more gradually, over a longer window, which may line up better with how aging muscle actually processes and uses protein for repair. This matters especially at night. Some research has looked specifically at consuming a slower digesting protein source like Greek yogurt before bed, and found it may support muscle repair overnight, essentially giving your body a steady supply of raw material to work with while you sleep, during the hours when a lot of that quiet, everyday muscle maintenance is happening anyway. We're going to come back to this one in a bit more detail in just a moment, because I think it deserves the closest look of anything on this list today, including exactly how and when to eat it for the best effect. But first, I want you to sit with this for a second. 4 ordinary foods, all available at a regular grocery store, each one supporting a different piece of how your legs stay strong as the years go on. This isn't about a miracle diet. It's about small, repeatable choices that add up. All right, let's finish this properly, because Greek yogurt deserves the closest look of anything we've talked about today, and I want to give you something practical enough that you can start tonight if you want to. Here's the piece that I find most compelling. Nutrition scientists generally agree that the hours you spend asleep aren't just downtime for your muscles. They're actually one of the more active repair windows your body has. The problem is, for a lot of people, especially as we get older, that window opens up with very little raw material available for the body to work with, because the last meal of the day was hours earlier and mostly used up by the time you're actually asleep. It's a bit like a construction crew showing up to work overnight, but the delivery truck full of materials arrived at noon and most of it's already gone. That's where the timing of Greek yogurt seems to matter so much. Because it digests more slowly, having a serving in the couple of hours before bed may help keep that supply of protein trickling in through the night, right when muscle repair tends to be happening anyway. Some research has looked at this specifically in older adults, and the findings are genuinely encouraging, not as a miracle fix, but as a small, low-effort adjustment that seems to line up well with how aging muscle actually works. Practically, this can be as simple as a small bowl of plain Greek yogurt in the evening, maybe with a few berries or a drizzle of honey if you want some flavor. No special product, no powder, no supplement required. Just a food that's probably already in your grocery store, eaten at a slightly more intentional time. Now, here's what I really want you to take away from today, more than any single food. Your legs are not just muscles that happen to be attached to the rest of you. They are, in a very real sense, your independence. They will let you get down on the floor to play with a grandchild and get back up again without thinking twice. They will let you travel, walk a beach, climb into a car, carry your own groceries, live life on your own terms instead of asking for help with things you used to do without a second thought. Strong legs aren't really about strength for its own sake. They're about staying the author of your own life for as long as possible. And that's genuinely within reach. Not through anything extreme, not through some transformation that happens overnight, but through small, steady choices. Eggs a few mornings a week, some leafy greens most days, fatty fish a couple times a week, and maybe a small bowl of Greek yogurt in the evening. None of that is dramatic. All of it adds up. I do want to say clearly, because this matters, especially for a topic like this one, Everything I've shared today is general information, not personal medical advice. Everybody's situation is different, and if you're managing any health conditions, taking medications, or thinking about making a bigger change to your diet or activity level, please talk it over with your doctor first. They know your history, and that conversation is worth having. So, if there's one thing I want you to remember from today, let it be this. Your legs are listening, at any age. It's never too late to start the conversation with them. If this video helped you see your legs a little differently today, hit subscribe. We talk about exactly this kind of thing every week, real, practical ways to stay strong and independent as the years go on. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. A parent, a spouse, a friend who's been saying their legs just aren't what they used to be. And down in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 4 foods are you already eating? And which one are you going to add this week? Thanks for spending this time with me today. Take care of those legs. They're taking care of you.